Hello and welcome in. Excited to be back. Excited to do more draft. We are on episode number 3, drafting BBM for Underdog Fantasy. We are about to get started here, but want to get this thing going. First and foremost, I should say, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so I can keep pushing out more content. My goal is to bring in some guests. I have some plans for the future, fantasy football content, especially with everything starting next week. Without further ado, let's bring up the screen. We are about to hop on right now. We have pick number 12 as we get this thing growing. All right. Jamar Chase is off the board to get things going. Let's see here. What would be our goal? Not sure yet. But newsworthy stuff that we got this morning was Terry McLaurin just signed his deal. Says Ian Rappaport tweeted this morning, the Commanders and star wide receiver Terry McLaurin has a 3-year extension worth $96 million. It's about what, $32 million a year. And I believe I saw a Washington Commander beat writer also state it's a $30 million signing bonus. So as we hop on this draft, I'm really interested to see where he's going. He was currently anywhere ADP wise, I want to say anywhere from like 40 to like mid 50s maybe. So his range was pretty wide there. I fully expect him, as we are down to just a little over a week, to get back into that fourth round, third round-ish mark he was earlier this season. Here we go, guys. Let's see here. We have 2 more picks before we go. Malik Neighbors just went off the board. It's rare that you get him. It looks like we're going to go a lot of bye week 8s. That's what's fun about this here. I'm gonna go. I want to keep getting some Ashton Genty. I do love Brian Thomas Jr. Let's go Brian Thomas Jr. and Ashton Genty to kick us off here. This is the beautiful part. Let me pull up the board. Let me get the board going here just to see how the rest of this draft goes. Let's see. Got Drake London, who just went. That's not a bad pairing there with Buka Nakua and Drake London. And there goes Bucky Irving. Nice. Starting to see Bucky Irving kind of replace Devon Achane, who was falling right around here, maybe skyrocketing right around here, and rightfully so, given his fantasy upside. And there goes Devon Achane as we talk about him. But it's really interesting to see Bucky Irving go here. He is the lead back in Tampa Bay. Rashad White is expected to be out for a few weeks, and his third running back is, as of now, Sean Tucker, who will presume the role of backup now because Rashad White will be out. So Bucky Irving has quite a role, very healthy role. Shouldn't be fighting at all for those snap shares. All right, we got a huge running back run here. We saw Derrick Henry go, Devon Achane, Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown, T. Higgins, Josh Jacobs. Yes, a lot of running backs. Curious to see who we're going to get in the back end here. And as always, it's always fun to see on the other side of the board what they go with here. Chase Drafter went with Lad McConkey and Trey McBride. Let's see here. As you already know, people like to correlate, especially when they're doing best ball manias or any type of best ball drafting. They like to correlate their week 15, 16, or 17 playoff opponents. And in this case, the Cincinnati Bengals week 17. If this team were to make the finals, The goal and the hopes are for this individual is that Chase and McBride has a really good game because that's going to be playing really big on them as far as the board goes for them, standings, and making sure they get the high score. So it's good to stack games. Game environments are always important in fantasy football because you can have a ton of players from different teams, different games, and it doesn't always equate to that big, massive week that you want from those game environments. Sometimes it just takes one game. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Arizona Cardinals were to go off. And you had pieces from that game, especially the ones that benefit greatly. That should help you in the standings as we are all competing for $2 million up top. All right, I'm about to come back up here. Let's see what we have here. We are currently 3 picks away. We have Kyron Williams, who is interesting. We do have a lot of the bye week 8s, and I know I've explained in the previous videos. I won't push that too much on me right now because it is quite too early, and there goes Kyron Williams, to worry about the bye weeks right now. I want to take the best players on the board, and in this case, I really wanted Garrett Wilson here, so I'm glad that as I say, I want Garrett Wilson. What are the chances I'm going to get Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin again? Let's shoot for it, y'all. I'm going to take Jaden Daniels. I'm going to do something different in this draft, and we're going to get Terry McLaurin here, who just signed his new deal. No worries at all about that. I figured he would. Had it not been the case, he was going to get paid somewhere else. He's a wide receiver, and there are many teams who are in desperate need of one. But I really did like Garrett Wilson there. I know as I've spoke about this current topic many, many times, there's a lot of people in the fantasy football streets and industry that are really down on Garrett Wilson due to Justin Fields. He's a wide receiver 1, very talented receiver, even dating back to Ohio State. I have no issues taking him there. All right, let's pull back the board. Again, one of the perks of drafting in the back end, and when you're doing recordings like this today, it's nice so we can watch how other people are drafting. As we were talking about correlations and playoff opponents, nothing better than having a stack. Let's talk about what does Washington have to look forward to. Washington, week 15, play the New York Giants. Week 16, play the Philadelphia Eagles. And then week 17, play the Dallas Cowboys. Well, when I look at that and I hear that, there's actually something really nice. And obviously, this is my 3rd video, but if you've been watching along the last 2 videos, one of the strategies that I personally have been aiming towards, I did it a little bit last year, and this year I'm pushing it a little bit more, is trying to get teams and their opponents within the same division, because we know for a fact that they're going to play multiple games versus each other. And when we look at these opponents, you get the whole NFC East, y'all. You get the Giants week 15, Philadelphia Eagles week 16, and the Dallas Cowboys week 17. Wow. I really like that. So we are absolutely going to aim towards that direction. Shortly, we will look over and kind of see who those players are and who do we have on the board to draft. Right now, we talked about Garrett Wilson, Travion Henderson, 39. Wow, y'all. I love Travion Henderson. I really do. But in this format, I still think that's pretty early. But I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. But I'm not a fan of taking him this early in drafts, especially not knowing for sure if he's going to have the entire backfield. I think Josh McDaniels is now the OC over there. There's a good chance that we're still going to see some Ramondre Stevenson. And even if he is incorporated, and let's say they have a 50-50 backfield, which I think at this point is your hopes, anything less than that makes this a very tough click at pick 39, round 4. Here we go. We see Joe Burrow come off the board. Very interesting. Okay. So this individual just wanted to get, I guess, Joe Burrow off of the T. Higgins drafter and the Chase Brown drafter. Brees Hall. I know Braylon Allen's getting all the attention right now, but pick number 52, fifth round, Brees Hall. I'm interested in that. Would have loved for him to drop over here by me. Of course, he didn't. He goes here. I think this is an excellent pickup. Look at that. James Cook and Brees Hall. What are the chances? You, earlier on, a few months ago, you weren't really getting this combo as much. All right, let's pull up the players that we have left here. And we talked about the Giants. We talked about Philly. We talked about the Dallas Cowboys. We will not be forcing anything. What we do have here is a little bit of action. Rare do you get the Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin attached to Jaden Daniels. I'm going to aim for that. Right now, I don't see anything here that needs to be, we don't need to force anything. Let's just see who the best players on the board are here. Ricky Pearsall just left. Let's see if Dave or D4VE, for Dave, doesn't take Deebo Samuel. He doesn't. That's great. Kind of like these running backs on the board. I do like Mecca Egbuka, Roma Dunze, but we're going to go Deebo, and then we're going to go running back. I think running back wise, let's just take Deebo here just to be safe. Make sure we get our guy. We got Vegas. We're doing the correlation here. We are Philly, Houston, New York Giants, which is good to hear. Jacksonville. We're gonna go with Chuba Hubbard or Arch. Let's go with some of these young guys, man. I like this a lot. I know right now J.K. Dobbins is going to be RB1 on this team for the Denver Broncos, but R.J. Harvey, we're expecting him to start getting a really nice opportunity as the year goes by. I'm not too worried about the depth chart, y'all. I know pass protection has been one of his biggest issues, and he needs to work on that to get on the field a lot. But the potential that Sean Payton even said of him being kind of like that Joker role player on his team, which is kind of like their gadgety guy who's going to kind of be all over the field, their focal point. I think RJ Harvey has a really good chance of being that guy. Right now, it's going to be Evan Ingram, which is the tight end out there in Denver. Jimmy Graham played that role. I know guys like Darren Sproles played a little bit of that role, and he kind of mixed in a few when Sean Payton was the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Let's pull up the board here. So right now here, let's do a little quick recap. We have Jaden Daniels at quarterback. We have Ashton Genty at running back. We have RJ Harvey at running back. We have wide receivers Brian Thomas Jr., Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel. So we have a full stack here for the Washington Commanders. Obviously, this team is hoping and praying that the Washington Commanders look anywhere close to the team that went last year to the NFC Championship, right? We want that team back. We need that team back for this team right here that we're currently constructing to be really good. All right, Jordan Addison just went there with pick 70. Let's pull up this board. Oh, this is moving quickly. I love that. So we are going to start taking a look at some other options here for us. A really interesting thing about that RJ Harvey pickup is that Brian Thomas Jr., who we have, his the playoff opponent that he has for week 16 is the Denver Broncos. So we got a little bit of a correlation there. Speaking on the playoff correlation stuff, this is Best Ball Mania. The chances when you get into these pods and want to make it as far as the finals, you're going to need some game environments like that to really pop off versus just having, like I said earlier, exposure to too many games, because you might hit that one game that doesn't produce much fantasy points or offense alone. If we get the games right and we get two players who are going to play a big part, and by then week 16 we expect RJ Harvey to have a very massive role. All right, let's take a look here. We're a few picks away. We got David Montgomery, Caleb Johnson, Jerry Judy, Khalil Shakir, and okay, so there's a stack here as we see Josh Allen, Cook, and Khalil. And you got TJ Hawkinson, who just went there. Let's take a look here, y'all. Ideally, Giants, Philly, Dallas. Let's look at Tracy. We could take a look at him. It's going to be really hard to find a Philly guy other than like Dallas Goedert at this point of the draft. I think Philadelphia Eagles are always a little harder to stack unless you get the A.J. Browns, the Devontae Smith. So we're going to try to prioritize Dallas Goedert. We won't force it, obviously, but he's someone I want to look into because that offense is very concentrated towards those two specific receiver and then the tight end, who's the third option in that offense. Any other receivers there is a little harder to bank on, like John Mechie, who just got traded to that squad, or Jahan Dotson or such. But we do need a running back. I think we need a running back in this room here. We have two rookies. Always good to mix it in. If we don't get Tyrone Tracy, Jordan Mason is absolutely an option here for me. I do love Sam Laporta and where he's dropping right now, but man, wide receiver becomes really thin as we continue to move forward. Let's go Jaden Reed here, who is an absolute player when it comes to spike weeks. And guys who, yeah, some weeks he might not give you what you want, but he can pay it off the following week and make you feel really good about drafting him. Then we took Tyrone Tracy. Again, we needed a running back. Jordan Mason is usually the click I make there, but I want to do a little correlation here. Giants players are going to be a little harder to get. There are guys you could get deeper as we go. Theo Johnson's, the Darius Slayton later in the drafts. But I need a running back, like I mentioned, and Tyrone Tracy. Cam Scatterboo, we do expect him to eventually kind of get into this work as far as the Giants team go. But I think Tyrone Tracy right now has a solid role, and it's really his role to lose. And speaking of Scatterboo, he just went. I still think Tracy as a receiver out of the backfield, Scatterboo does the same as well. I just think they're just going to be a really nice duel that are going to benefit off of each other and kind of, complement each other when it comes to that backfield. And a lot of the running backs that you're getting here are those kind of guys. Let's be honest. Jordan Mason, more of the goal line touch guy is what we're assuming, but Aaron Jones is still a really good running back. Then you have Jalen Warren here, who I expect to start the year. And then Caleb Johnson, who got taken way before him to eventually start working into that snap share as well, get more and more involved. And then, you can go a little further back with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, and then RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins. We just see Bo Nix go as we talk about the Denver Nuggets. As you guys see at the bottom, please make sure to check out Underdog Fantasy. This is where we are drafting currently right now. My promo code is at the bottom, and they will match your deposit. Make sure to take a look at that, and please feel free to check out that promo code, as well as liking and subscribing this video and to the channel. All right. Etienne Jr. just went there. I know we just heard from John Shipley, one of the beat writers for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He writes for Sports Illustrated, mentioned that as he was projecting the 53-man roster, he believes that Etienne or Bigsby will get traded. That is his thought. That means if that does indeed happen, we should be hearing about that either today, Monday, the 25th of August, or tomorrow by the afternoon time. I forget if it's 3 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Eastern, when we should be hearing as far as like all the cuts go for teams as they are shortening and making their 53-man roster, because we're getting closer and closer to the regular season. Let's pull up our board. Rashid Shaheed gets the Then you got Brock Purdy here, a little stack with Jawan Jennings, who we're hearing is expected to play in week 1. I believe had a calf injury. So he was already out for a little bit during the offseason, but there's a really good rapport with Brock Purdy, Jawan Jennings, also known, I believe, as Juan in third in San Francisco. If I botch that, feel free to make fun of me in the comments below. I have a few of my guys who are huge Niners fans, and I'm sure that they're going to give me some crap for that. All right, we're back up. We're looking for other options. Hey, y'all, I really like Evan Ingram here. If he's not taken with the gentleman who has Bo Nix, Colston Loveland, as you guys already know, I am very, very fond of. We have the combo right here. Again, I do this a lot. I do the Caleb Williams, Colston Loveland thing. We're not going to do that today. I think we should take Evan Ingram and continue stacking this current correlation that we have with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Denver Broncos. Let's see, what else could we do here running back wise? I am going to go Tank Bigsby. There's a big fall off here. Let's see, did we get we sure as heck did. Oh man, Javonte Williams was staring at me too right there, y'all. Almost lost that. I'm glad I did it. This is why it's important to queue your next picks. We'll take a look as we go forward. There will be some other Cowboys guys that we can kind of jump on. Jadon Blue, Jake Ferguson. And remember, the idea behind best ball is highest scoring player takes over your starting spots. Doesn't matter how we draft them. It doesn't mean because I have my top 3 receivers there that they're automatically the starters week in and week out. It will be the highest scoring players that would take over your starting spots. This is why we draft multiple quarterbacks, multiple players at those positions that usually require just one position player, QB and tight end. Running backs is 2 starters, wide receivers are 3, and your flex spot, which can be occupied by either a running back, wide receiver, or tight end. That is how we're drafting. That is what we're going with right now. So we went Tank Bigsby. So we really focused on this correlation here, huh? We have Brian Thomas Jr., Tank Bigsby, both from Jacksonville Jaguar. Then we have Evan Ingram, RJ Harvey when it comes to that matchup week 16. Let's see who we got here. This draft, y'all, is flying. I love that. I'm really hoping. Okay, I see what JCM went this early. Wow, 103. Wow, I think that's a bit early. I mean, if he's any bit of what a lot of people expect him to be, maybe he pays this off. But man, there are still a lot of players I like prior to that. Again, I mentioned about Tank Bigsby possibly getting traded. That's a big deal. If not, I expect him to be running back 1 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's going to be a big deal for this. If not, we're going to also see Tank Bigsby probably on a team where he has a pretty decent featured role and is not going up against Etienne or Tutin, who went at pick 105, round 9 there. Tutin is the kind of player that he kind of, as far as fantasy potential that he has and the type of upside that he'll bring in and week out, I think he's going to give you more of the Devon Achane kind of look here. So he's going to be massive in that role for fantasy, in my personal opinion. The question is, how soon do they start deploying him at running back? This is very interesting, y'all. You saw Caleb Williams go. Turbo 12 was probably hoping for the Caleb Williams and Colston Loveland stack here that I had the opportunity to do over here, and I passed on. And Nasty Pants here at hole number 1 decided, no, that's not going to happen. All right, he takes Trevor Lawrence. He has Etienne Jr. already. Let's hope that we can still somehow land Javonte Williams. As far as our stacks go, we're going to add some receivers shortly. Want to do a little bit of this correlations that we were talking about and kind of make this a little bit more of a focal point when it comes to this draft and talk a little more on it. Again, you don't have to force it, but at this point, if Javonte Williams lands to us, that's pretty great, y'all. So let's take a look. All right, we're a few picks away. We are currently 5 picks away. Javonte Williams is hiding back here somewhere. Brandon Ayuk, I don't mind here as well. I know he's not going to be available, but it's more about what he can hopefully be by week 7, week 8 is when when we're expecting him to start being on the field a little bit more, and your hopes are that the Niners are playing better. There goes Dallas Goedert. We'll take a look at some Eagles players. We don't have to have everything correlated perfectly for that, but that's fine. That's why we're taking a look here early on. Brian Robinson Jr., y'all, I know we didn't get to talk about this last time. He did get traded. He is now, it says SF right there. He is currently with the Niners. He is DMC's backup now, currently running back 2. Kyle Shanahan absolutely confirmed that. All right, guys, here we go. We have Javonte Williams. We're going to add this to the room. He's going to be starter. He's going to keep that job. I already like this running back room in terms of just balancing out veterans and young guys with rows. Let's take Brandon Ayuk. We're going to need another receiver here. I like this. I like where we're at. If you are noticing quarterbacks are flying off the board, something I want to be very cognizant of as we are in round 12. And there goes Michael Penix leaving there. We are down to Bryce Young, Cam Ward, Tua, Geno, and it goes on and on and on. The good thing is putting a pick like Jaden Daniels and his draft capital, your hopes are that he is officially your QB1 week in and week out outside of his bye week. So hopefully we don't really need anything too crazy later on, but we shall see. That will be a priority as we get in to the next round. We are currently midway into the 12th round. This is an 18-round draft. Again, Underdog Fantasy. My promo code is below. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It's helpful. There is going to be a lot of things I plan to push out there real soon. Excited to share with y'all. Please share with me things you would like to see as well, things you're currently exposed to as we're getting to the very end of best ball season. It will resume back end of January when we're doing big boards, pre-draft best balls. So as exciting as a regular season is, and I'm really, really looking forward to, drafting is one of my favorite parts, even for home leagues, which a lot of us are doing. I'm down to like 3 leagues that I just drafted. I got a few more to go this upcoming weekend, all leading up to the regular season. The regular season, next Thursday, we get Cowboys at Eagles. That's going to be a fun one. Thursday night, that's going to be on NBC to kick off the season. Then Friday, we get the Chiefs at Chargers. That should be another fun game. And then obviously the big slate on Sunday. And then to top off week 1, we get division rivals in the Minnesota Vikings at Soldier Field facing my beloved Chicago Bears. We get to finally see what JJ McCarthy looks like after missing out on his first year. So technically this is his impromptu rookie season. And then we get to see the Ben Johnson experience. Hoping it goes well for the Chicago Bears, not just as a fan, but as someone who's exposed to a lot of Chicago Bears player. We believe in Ben Johnson. There we go. Let's hope that works out for us just as much as it worked out for the Detroit Lions. All right, we're moving on here. Ollie Gordon is moving up these draft boards. Jalen Wright has been a little banged up. I actually got Jalen Wright the other day in a draft I did off stream. Round 18, more than happy to take a shot on that. He, in this format, has an opportunity to obliterate that ADP with some goal line touches. I like Jalen Wright. I'm going to say he went to University of Tennessee. He was fun. He was electric. I enjoyed watching him play there. I still think there's a role. Ollie Gordon, I talked about him in previous videos of the impact he had at Oklahoma State, being one of the best running backs in college football 2 years ago in 2023. All right, we're coming up here on the board. Who do we have? We can use possibly another tight end, maybe some more wide receivers. We look good here. I think Bryce Young is someone I want to take a look at here. I can use another quarterback or Geno Smith. We can take a look at. You got Trey Harris, Kyle Williams, Cedric Tillman on the board. Najee Harris is also not a bad pick. Of course, Bryce Young goes there. They see I have one quarterback, and we are down to slim pickings, y'all. We're going to take Geno Smith to add to our quarterback room here. We have Ashton Genty, which makes that a really solid pick. And buddy, oh buddy, hey, you want to take Bryce Young from us? We'll do a little sniping too. Xavier Legette, we need some wide receivers. I'm going to take him. That was my ultimate goal right there, to get Bryce Young, Xavier Legette. The good thing is the Bryce Young drafter here, we'll take a look at what he currently has. He has Chuba Hubbard, so it doesn't really impact him as much. I'm sure he was going to go there as the clock runs out for him. Still has a shot at Jatavian Sanders. Jalen Coker is a guy I would be taking late in this draft, but we needed a wide receiver. Trey Harris currently has bad reports coming out of camp, a lot of drop of the football, and currently on their depth chart on a team that's usually run heavy, you're going to see a lot of Omarion Hampton. Najee Harris is expected to be playing week 1. It's a Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh offense, so there's going to be a lot of run and pound football, a lot of defense, burning the clock, a lot of run. And when Justin Herbert is dropping back, his targets should be now Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, and then, of course, they're his number one target right now, Lad McConkey. So Trey Harris is a little bit harder for me to pick at round 14. Xavier Legette is expected to be either wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 by default early on until Ted McMillan gets more familiarized with that role and becomes a target for Bryce Young. Xavier Legette has already been building a report there. Again, last year I talked about how he flashed potential, he flashed that, and he had a lot of moments where he, some rookie downfalls that he had, but that comes with any receiver, truthfully. So it is what it is. We got Brandon Ayuk, just to remind y'all, who's going to be out quite possibly the first 6 weeks of the regular season. But I don't mind taking a stab at Brandon Ayuk at round 12, knowing that his value should be anywhere within this round 7 and 8 bucket, where he's getting drafted quite possibly above Jawan Jennings had he been fully healthy. Let's see here. I love this, y'all. This is moving. Chris Rodriguez going at round 15. Interesting. We are playing Russian roulette with the running backs over there. Has Austin Eckler gone? Yes, he did. Pick 137. We are just trying to figure out who that running back is. There was so much value in those guys early into the season. I do like Isaiah Likely here. Let's see if we get a chance at him. I have one tight end. In most cases, what people like to do is snatch him. I hope the Bryce Young guy here, Dave, either takes his Jatavian Sanders or starts jumping on some of his stacks for this guy. Quentin Johnston, speaking of him, he's right out here. Picks in 180, 181, round 15, round 16. We got 2 more rounds shortly after this. Najee Harris is also not a bad pickup here. We have a 5 running back room. I'm open to it. Remember, 2 starting running back positions, 1 flex. Doesn't always have to be all your wide receivers. We are currently at 6. I don't feel like we have to force anything here. Adam Thielen is still there. He's currently still playing for the Carolina Panthers. There's been rumors that he might get traded to the Minnesota Vikings. Woody Marks just goes, running back out of Houston. Najee Harris was someone I was really interested in there, but that's all good. We're going to take Isaiah Likely, who could play week 1. So we can add to this tight end room. The other individual we are going to look here, we can use a wide receiver. I like Quentin Johnston here. I also like Adonai Mitchell, who we're going to hope is there for rounds 17 and 18. This team doesn't necessarily need a third quarterback. We'll see who's still out there. We'll see if there is a need for it. We can kind of aim for honestly, a quarterback I haven't drafted enough of right now, and it has some fantasy potential. We've seen it in the past. He's getting older now, but Joe Flacco, around 17, 18, that wouldn't be bad if he's still out there. You saw him obviously last year with the Indianapolis Colts. He was there as backup to Anthony Richardson, got hurt, and was able to step in and play there. But the year before that, we saw him literally come out of his couch, play for the Cleveland Browns, give them an amazing game in the playoffs, and really just show you that he was still capable of a lot. I know for fantasy purposes, he had that stretch that year that we were just like kind of all mind blown. But for fantasy purposes, all his receivers were eating. It was awesome, especially if you had one of those guys. Joe Flacco is a guy that I'm going to keep an eye out for. And if we wanted to stack him, we can still get Deontay Johnson. I am okay with our tight end room right now with Evan Ingram and Isaiah Likely. No overlap in bye weeks. We, as I told you, we were looking at some correlations. I'm just not going to force it, y'all. I know we didn't get a Giants player. We did get a Giants player. I'm sorry. We didn't get a Eagles player like we would have liked to, but I'm not going to force it. Will Shipley may or may not have an opportunity here and there. I think our running back room is pretty solid. I like where we're currently at there. So what are we aiming for here? I guess we can take a look here. Wide receiver for sure. So I have Adonai Mitchell put away here. We could probably do Daniel Jones. We can do a little bit of Joe Flacco. Is he still out there? Of course he is. And then maybe a little bit of Deontay Johnson, who I've talked about in recent videos. He's the last pick. Shouldn't be bad at all. I kind of like those routes. Who else is another good option here? Harold Fannin is not bad. If I really want to just do a little more adding to that, 7 wide receivers isn't bad. We can take a look at real quick here. By the way, Juwan Johnson, one of the stacks that I think it's very interesting, very late in the draft. Well, we should know either by today or tomorrow or maybe closer to the regular season if Tyler Shough will be the starting quarterback or Spencer Rattler. Tyler Shough and Juwan Johnson actually had a report in college. That is how long ago Tyler Shough has been in college football. This is his rookie season. Juwan Johnson, I think, is going into his 4th or 5th season. It is wild, y'all, how much older he is. All right, so we got Daniel Jones, who just went there. That's okay. We, once again, don't need to force these things. I am perfectly fine where we stand. Tight end room, Elijah Arroyo is very interesting. Adonai Mitchell is still an option for me. Darren Waller is there. There are some intriguing routes that I would like to take here. I think I did speak on this earlier. Jalen Wright is still out there, y'all. I'm not opposed to this at all. Let's take Adonai Mitchell. This running back room is not bad at all. We got Brian Thomas Jr., Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Jaden Reed, Brandon Ayuk, Xavier Legette, Quentin Johnston, Adonai Mitchell. Ayuk is going to be out for some time. Let's just take Jalen Wright. You're getting him week 18. What are the chances you're going to get this again? So our running back room just added another player with a ton of potential. And given the current look right now, it feels like it's fully balanced. This team needed 6 running backs. I feel kind of good about this. Geno Smith is stacked with Ashton Genty, as I mentioned before, and some of you guys already know. If you are big college football fans, Ashton Genty was a former wide receiver at Boise State before turning running back. He's going to be catching the ball out of the backfield a lot, which is why I really like him in PPR formats. I think ultimately he will have the fair. I mean, he was a top 10 pick, y'all. He was up there for a reason. People like him. Did Jawan Johnson and Tyler Shuck go together? They sure did. Look at that. That's a beauty. That is a stack that I have a little bit of, and I wish I would have had more. But as you're round 17 and round 18, that is not bad at all. But yes, going back to what I was saying about Ashton Gentine, we are correlated. The beauty of correlating, especially a guy like Geno Smith, I've mentioned this in previous videos, but it's very important that quarterbacks like that, pocket quarterbacks, ones that are not Bobo and aren't going to give you rushing upside, those are the kind of guys you want to stack. Ideally, one, minimum one, right? But, ideally in a perfect world, you would have done two. But Deontay Thornton was already out. The other option could have been Michael Mayer as a flyer in round 18, but I didn't think the value of a Jalen Wright was going to be sitting there. I thought that was really good. Trey Tucker would have been another option who I think has a good role there. They're going to be running a lot of that 12 personnel over there, so I don't expect them to be going through all their wide receivers. They're probably going to have a lot of target shares go through Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, and then you have Ashton Genty, Jacoby Myers, and then we'll see if some of those young guys like Deontay Thornton and then Trey Tucker get some opportunities. So I left these two guys here on the queue. That's perfectly fine. We didn't need to force it. Y'all know I'm a big Adonai Mitchell guy. I want to keep increasing these shares. I have so much of them. I'm up to 70%. Could be very embarrassed to say that, but I'm getting him so late in it, and I have a lot. I have a lot of him, and I know that sounds like a lot. I'm very bullish on him. I just have mentioned this before. He was to me a top 5 wide receiver coming out of last year's NFL draft, and Daniel Jones should be able to get the ball a little better than Anthony Richardson can. As far as the accuracy goes, just a tad bit better. I'm not going to sit here and act like Daniel Jones is this accurate thrower, but he has had success in the league the year that he got him that extension with the New York Giants. I'm just expecting Adonai Mitchell's role to grow. I've mentioned also about Reggie Wayne being the wide receiver coach and the development that they've had with him. Currently, right now, in that wide receiver room, you have Alec Pierce, who's going to be a deep target for him. And then you have Josh Downs, who's going to catch a lot of the underneath routes and just all over the field. I think Josh Downs is such a great player. So he's already really nice there. And then you got Tyler Warren, the tight end, who we should see a lot of. But Adonai Mitchell has the ability to be so many things as well in this offense. There's so much talent there. He's going to probably be a big man slot. He's going to, a power slot. He's going to be a prototypical X receiver when you look at his physical traits. I just think there's just going to be an opportunity for him. And I wasn't afraid to share the exposure on him. If I am wrong, we'll talk about it next season. We'll talk about it during the off season if I'm wrong, but that is part of best ball. It's taking chances, taking shots on players, and being bullish with your takes. If everyone, and I mean everyone who is doing this, literally just spread out their exposures to every single player, there is no, guarantees that because you have exposure to everyone, that those teams are built strong enough to beat out folks who have stronger squads. Getting exposure all across the board is very difficult, in my opinion, and expect to win it all. Again, I haven't won it all, but from just reviewing and seeing how folks are doing it, having strong takes can really take you far. A few years ago, I had strong takes on Tank Dell, was getting him late rounds. I was getting CJ Stroud late rounds as a rookie quarterback. That ended up panning out well. I was able to make some nicer return through DraftKings that year and some through Underdog, but it's all about your takes. I'm gonna have takes that aren't gonna work out and really make me feel good, but that is part of why we draft and we do what we do. Had we all known, we would all be millionaires right now. All right, let's just go through this as we completed our draft. Our quarterbacks are Jaden Daniels by week 12, Geno Smith by week 8. The goal on this team, this is Jaden Daniels' team right here, y'all. The one we constructed. We need him week in and week out to be this He's kind of moving up this elite tier for fantasy quarterbacks because what he's able to do as a rushing quarterback. Running backs, we have Ashton Genty, RJ Harvey, Tyrone Chasey, Tank Bigsby, Javonte Williams, Jalen Wright. At wide receiver, we have Brian Thomas Jr., we have Terry McLaurin, we have Debo Samuel stacking that Jaden Daniels stack right there, which is awesome. Jaden Reed. We have Brandon Ayuk, who's going to be out for the first 6 weeks, maybe 7. We'll see. Xavier Leggett. We have Quentin Johnston, Adonai Mitchell. We have a few second-year receivers, and Brian Thomas Jr., Adonai Mitchell, and Xavier Leggett. And then we have at our tight end room, we have Evan Ingram and Isaiah Likely. I think this is a pretty solid squad. Isn't my best, but a pretty solid squad. There's a lot of correlations going, which is also really good. And yeah, y'all, I'm really excited. Once again, I'm going to mention promo code at the bottom. You're seeing it. Scroll down right there. You have the URL and my promo code FL Reyes 3. Please like this video, subscribe. Feel free to share it. We're trying to build a community for fantasy football. I am excited for this regular season to get started. But I'm also excited as everything starts dwindling down. I got to get more videos out there. I got to get a little more content for y'all before the regular season starts. Because once the regular season starts, we will be previewing week in and week out different games and players you should be picking up or dropping. And just a lot of discussion. There's a lot of plans once again for the future of this channel. I am really excited that you guys are coming along with me and joining me in this journey. Outside of that, that's about it. That's what I have for y'all. I'm excited to do this next video with y'all soon. For now, this is Felix Reyes. Peace.